Folks, we've never done this before. A 2.5-hour documentary about the cult game Stalker. And this is only the first part. History of creation, behind the scenes of development, previously unknown facts, and a lot of other things. 2.5 hours of high-quality game content is waiting for you. The link was left in the description and pinned comment. Thank you in advance for your support, and we are starting. He's not afraid to challenge classical masculinity and play provocative roles. He criticizes social media, gets embarrassed in interviews, and wows the public with his looks on the red carpet. Timothee Chalamet is an actor who quickly gained fame, artistic recognition, and won the hearts of millions of fans. What is the secret of his success? Why does he avoid fame? And what partners on the set did he have an affair with? Welcome to the Biographer channel. We are getting started. Timothee Chalamet was born on December 27, 1995 in New York. Hell's Kitchen, also known as the Clinton area, once a criminal area, was gradually turning into a cultural and fashionable environment at that time where the young man's worldview was formed. The father of the future actor Marc Chalamet, a Frenchman who worked as an editor and translator for the French department of UNICEF, and his mother Nicole Flender, an American of Jewish origin, was a Broadway dancer. It was she who taught the future star to play the piano and constantly made him rehearse. The family was wealthy and lived in the elite Manhattan Plaza complex in the very center of New York. I am a child of the world. The star smiles shyly when asked to talk about his affiliation. It combines French, Jewish, and American roots, the desire for individualism and self-improvement with traditions, the desire for self-expression and identity. I used to feel that American customs and stereotypes were closer to me. And then as I grew older, I allowed my French side to emerge more, says the actor. Besides, there were many creative people in Timothee's family. It was destined for me to be an artist, he joked, and for good reason. Timothee's mother's brother, Rodman Flender, was a director and actor. His aunt, Amy Lippman, was a screenwriter, as was her mother's grandfather, Harold Flender, who wrote the historical novel Rescue in Denmark about the persecution of Jews by the Nazi regime. But the boy was closer to his father's parents, with whom he spent the entire summer in a French village called Chambon-sur-Lignon, where life was very different from everyday life in New York. Thanks to them, I dream boldly. I'm not afraid to take risks. I'm ready to rush headlong into the unknown, and when necessary, freeze or go with the flow. My grandparents accepted me in different ways, and this helped me believe in myself and feel unique. His parents noticed the acting talent in their child and began to push him in the right direction. So, Timothee began to appear in commercials. Though at first this activity did not bring much joy to the future star, he did not consider acting to be something serious. I was very young, the actor recalled. I just stood and smiled in front of the camera, not taking seriously what was happening at all. Another thing was football. Chalamet fell in love with this sport during a vacation with his grandparents, and for a long time dreamed of becoming a professional football player. And even at the age of 13, he coached boys of 10 to 11 years old when he spent the summer in France. Everything changed in 2008 with the movie The Dark Knight by Christopher Nolan, or rather because of Heath Ledger, who played his best role in it, the role of the Joker. Timothee was so amazed by Ledger's performance that he finally understood the whole point of acting, which has been so unpleasant to him all these years. Being an actor is not about commercials with stupid plots. An actor is what he sees on screen, the unpredictability, freedom, and madness that Ledger's Joker conveys. Something stirred inside me, came to life. I enjoyed playing football, but this was the first time I experienced such a feeling. Chalamet no longer considered acting stupid. That was how the artist's first steps in his career began. His parents were not against their son's choice, and from that moment they always supported him, watching every movie starring him and attending his premieres. That was the most valuable thing his parents gave him, and Timothee is incredibly grateful to them for it. By the way, which of Chalamet's roles do you like best? Write your opinion in the comments, and we will continue. At the age of 13, Timothee entered the Fiorello H. LaGuardia High School of Music and Art and Performing Arts in New York. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Jennifer Aniston, and Sarah Paulson were also its graduates, which meant that getting into the school was not easy. Each student and applicant of the Fiorello LaGuardia School undergoes a strict selection process in 2 stages. Timothee failed the first one because of the bad grades at his previous school. However, candidates who failed the first stage were still eligible for the second one. Audition. And this was where Chalamet showed his talent in all its glory. He amazed acting teacher Harry Schiffman so much that he decided to do everything possible so that such a talented young man did not lose his gift. Timothee received such a high score that none of the applicants had ever received at the audition for admission to Fiorello LaGuardia. Harry Schiffman asked to make an exception for a gifted child. Chalamet's fate was sealed. By the way, during his studies, Timothee suddenly discovered his love for hip-hop and his talent as a rapper. Deciding to try his hand at a musical career, the young man took the pseudonym Timmy T. Once he even managed to make a project on statistics in the form of a musical recitative, and he shot a video for his work. The teacher did not appreciate the young man's creativity and gave him a bad grade, but his classmates were delighted. It was at that moment that I decided that I wasn't a musician and it would be better for me to become an actor, the young actor shared later. Despite such experiences, this was far from the only one, LaGuardia school teachers highly appreciated Timothee's creative abilities and considered him one of the best students. It was while studying at school that Timothee realized how serious the profession of an actor was and how seriously one needed to approach this art. If you study it and give it your strength and energy, then you can, through reincarnation, experience life from a completely different side. This discovery completely changed my life. Timothee tried very hard at school. Though big roles in school productions never happened, he got his first roles in the short films Clown and Butcher's Hill. Following the short films, Timothee was given a cameo role in the TV series Law & Order. By the way, this series has become a real springboard for many famous actors.
And like Law & Order is like the mothership, like that employs, wait, I don't think it's running anymore. SVU is running still and there's other versions, but that like that gives everybody their start kind of in acting, right? Yeah.
Loving Leah became another series in the track record of the future star. After that, there was Royal Pains. The series helped Chalamet express himself for the first time. However, it was not television that helped him attract attention, but theater. In 2011, Chalamet made his theatrical debut in the off-Broadway teen comedy production The Talls as a 12-year-old teenager who discovered the sex topic. After the role of Nicholas in the play, Tim was offered a role that gave a real start to his career, though it was a TV series again, this time in Homeland, a series that received hundreds of thousands of rave reviews in the main television award, the Emmy. Chalamet played the role of the vice president's son, Finn. At first, he was supposed to appear in only one episode. However, as a result, his role was extended throughout the entire second season. Timothee gave it his all. This was his first serious role, and he approached it very diligently. He prepared, rehearsed, researched his character, and therefore looked very believable on camera. The role brought Timothee his first recognition and a nomination for the Screen Actors Guild Award in the category Best Ensemble in a Drama Series, and also attracted the attention of director Luca Guadagnino, who at that moment began working on the romantic drama Call Me By Your Name and was actively looking for a candidate for the main role. The script was based on the novel of the same name by André Aciman, which told the story of the love of a 17-year-old teenager and a 24-year-old young man, and the main character's process of growing up based on his experiences. In 2013, Timothee brilliantly passed the audition for the main role, which in fact was not an audition at all. The young actor participated in the reading of the script and the director immediately approved it. Chalamet would later recall that he was very worried during the first days of filming, as he was afraid of how well he would be able to prove himself during the work, but that's a little later. Guadagnino launched the project only in 2016. All 3 years were spent on finding a budget and higher priority projects. Chalamet hasn't been unemployed for 3 years. On the contrary, during this time he played his first and one of the most important films in his life. In 2013, he received a cameo role in the television movie Trooper, directed by Craig Gillespie.
I remember Craig Gillespie, who directed I, Tonya. He put me in my first pilot ever, one of my first jobs. I remember the audition I had for him. I think I had 3 lines in like a 3-page scene, so I didn't really have much to say. It was a family scene. I memorized where each family member in the room was, so in this audition my neck was snapping around.
Timothee Chalamet's first small role in a big movie was his role of Danny Vance in Men, Women, and Children. Our hero's partners were real Hollywood stars Adam Sandler and Dean Norris. The film was directed by the talented Jason Reitman, a 6-time Oscar nominee. The role was small but memorable. However, the film was not destined to gather exciting reviews from the audience. It failed at the box office with Chalamet's hopes of waking up famous. The actor didn't give up and starred in the comedy Worst Friends, just as disastrous as the previous film. But fate gave Timothee a new chance. Christopher Nolan, the director of the same Dark Knight who once made an indelible impression on Timothee, invited him to his famous Interstellar. I was thrilled to work with Christopher Nolan. He is my favorite director, the young actor admitted in an interview. Matthew McConaughey became Timothee's partner on the set. At first, the young actor couldn't even utter a word in the presence of one of his favorite actors. He recalled that McConaughey seemed an example of a real actor to him, serious and charismatic. So at the moment when they needed to communicate with each other, the words seemed to get stuck in the young man's throat. That was again a small role, but Timothee took even the smallest episodes very seriously and responsibly. It was that professional approach that made Chalamet brilliant in the famous scene where McConaughey's character watched his children's video messages. They become friends with Matthew on the set and continue to communicate even after the filming.
I saw natural talent, and I also saw real confidence. And when you see his work in Call Me By Your Name, it's a fierce performance, man. I mean, he's dangerous in that performance and completely natural. He didn't have a false moment in it, and he's here to stay.
For Timothee, this was a huge experience and a push to move forward and not be afraid of big roles. After such success, Timothee decided to stop studying and devote all his time to conquering Hollywood. His mother and agent were against such a decision. They were sure that fame was a fickle thing. Today, you are a talented actor with a worldwide reputation, but tomorrow, no one will remember you. Moreover, Timothee still didn't have a single leading role. The young man listened to their opinion, entered the famous Columbia University, and chose cultural anthropology. The diploma was supposed to be a backup option in case of failure, as well as a way to start an independent life. But it didn't last long. Communication with Matthew McConaughey and flattering reviews of his acting made Timothee make a choice in favor of creativity. He was not going to give up his studies. He was transferred to the NYU Gallatin School of Individualized Study and appeared in classes in his free time from filming.
I think just as consistently putting out as much good work as possible in audition form and casting form is a step in the right direction.
At the same time, he rented an apartment in the Bronx, separately from his parents. Chalamet remembered a feeling of uncertainty during those years, which he described as the soul-crushing anxiety of feeling like I had a lot to give without any platform. But he waited for the job he wanted, trying to avoid commitments that could stifle his growth, such as a multi-year television contract. The world premiere of Interstellar was about to be released. The young man made his big bets on it. He was sure that after that, he would definitely be given the main role in a big movie. It was very exciting for the actor to see himself on the big screen. Imagine his surprise when only a tiny piece from the scene he played made it into the final version of the film.
Oh, I met another girl, Dad. I really think this is the one. Her name's Lois. It's her right there.
I remember seeing it and weeping, he said. 60% because I was so moved by it, and 40% because I thought I was in the movie so much more than I am. He failed again. Did Chalamet feel like Nolan betrayed him? Not at all. Moreover, the actor went to see the film 12 times. In this case, he completely trusted the director's instincts and believed that the final version of the scene with his father looked exactly as it should. Otherwise, it wouldn't go down in cinema history. After Interstellar, Timothee had serious money problems. He hoped to find the right role for himself by sending out details and auditioning daily. The list of films he tried to get into but never got into was truly impressive. Among them were very big titles: The Theory of Everything, Ms. Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Captain America's Civil War. Chalamet was at a loss. He loved cinema, but refusal followed refusal, and the young actor began to think if he should continue fighting for his career. But small roles still found him in 2015. For example, Love the Coopers. In this Christmas comedy, Timothee played the withdrawn, silent grandson of the characters played by John Goodman and Diane Keaton. It was a small, modest role that allowed him to be on the same stage with a large number of excellent actors. The Adderall Diaries. There, he played the character of James Franco in his youth, again, not taking up too much screen time. The film which seemed to stop Timothee's failures in cinema was 1 and 2. His performance as Zach, a teenager with supernatural powers, was finally noticed, and reviews from critics and audiences were becoming warmer than those to which the young actor was accustomed. Chalamet's partner in this film is Kiernan Shipka, who became famous thanks to her role as the witch Sabrina and then was almost unknown. That was the actor's first leading role. his first role in a festival film, and he gave it his all. 1 and 2 erased all the bad things that happened before, and Timothee's career got a new start. More likely, 2015 could be considered the real start of the young actor's career.
I feel like early on in my career, I just wanted to work on things that were great, regardless of the size of the role, and that often meant working with a great director.
In 2016, Timothee got perhaps one of the most striking roles in the film Miss Stevens. His character Billy was one of 3 students who went on a journey with their teacher, Miss Stevens. This character was eccentric, unpredictable, and very emotional. The role helped Timothee's talent to reveal itself more than ever before. Despite the fact that the film was not known to the general public, critics were pleasantly impressed by the actor's performance. In the same year, he again tried his hand at the theater stage. This time, the Manhattan Theater Club opened its doors for him. His role was the difficult teenager Jim in the production of Prodigal Son. The role brought Tim not only recognition from American theatergoers, but also his first award, the Lucille Lortel Awards for Best Actor. For the first time, journalists wrote, "Timothee Chalamet is a rising star." In 2016, filming of the drama Call Me By Your Name finally began. Chalamet was given a month and a half to prepare. He needed to learn to play the guitar and also master the basics of the Italian language. Interesting fact, at the casting, the young man was asked if he could play the piano. He did that until he was 12 years old, so he immediately said, yes, of course. Having already received the role, Timothee realized that he had forgotten everything. He had to take daily lessons from an Italian musician for a month. In order to catch up on the basics of music and get into the spirit of the Italian provincial town, the director asked Timothee to come there 6 weeks before filming. Every day, for an hour and a half, the actor practiced playing the piano and also mastered the basics of the guitar by studying Beethoven. But Tim had no problems with French. Director Luca Guadagnino rewrote the main character specifically for him, and Elio spoke Timothee's familiar and native language. This way, according to Luke, he could get even closer to the character and play even more soulfully. Armie Hammer was chosen as Chalamet's partner. He played the role of Oliver. They didn't know each other at that time, and they still had to get to know each other better, but they became close to the director and became real friends. They often had dinner together, watched movies, and communicated a lot. The director organized the first meeting of the actors in a very unusual way. Timothee recalled, "He took us both to the hayloft and suggested we rehearse scene 71. We turned to the right page. The description contained only one sentence. Elio and Oliver roll around in the grass, getting closer to each other. Full of enthusiasm, we began to potter around in the hayloft. When we stopped, there was no trace of the director." This was the only rehearsal before filming. From the very start of work on the picture, Guadagnino rushed right off the bat. He wanted to play the scene of the kiss of 2 young people. The director tried for a long time to get sincere passion and emotions from the actors. He succeeded. In their interviews, actors often mentioned the calm, friendly atmosphere that Luca managed to create on the set. It was like he was making an amateur film. Nothing serious, no drama or tension. It was this trust that helped Chalamet reveal his multifaceted talent and let himself go free. After filming Call Me By Your Name, he was not afraid of either sex scenes or heavy emotional monologues. It seemed to him that now he could play anything, anywhere.
I used to have one of these.
You used to?
Yeah.
How come you never wear it?
Call Me By Your Name made a splash first at Sundance and then at the Berlin Film Festival. Critics were delighted with the director's and screenwriter's work, but most of all with the performer of the role of Elio. Timothee wasn't like anyone else, and his fantastic performance suddenly became a pleasant surprise. Everyone expected much more modest acting abilities from the handsome young man. The most difficult thing was to show the film to his parents, who went to all of their sons' premieres. According to the young man, he was very worried, and during the scene with the peach, he almost burned with shame. And my father, it seems to me too, the actor recalled. But after the film ended, the tension went away. I realized that my parents were proud of me and respected my choice, and I calmed down. By the way, the star still eats peaches, but every time he remembers that episode. It was the start of the interviews, TV shows, covers of magazines, articles in online publications, and hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram. Not a single significant event was complete without an actor. Timothee finally got what he deserved. He woke up famous. The young actor has been working all year to ensure that his suddenly sparkling star wouldn't go out. His popularity was gaining more and more momentum, and finally, an Oscar nomination. Chalamet became the youngest actor to ever be nominated for an Academy Award. Moreover, his competitors at this ceremony were titled Gary Oldman, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Denzel Washington. The film never received a single statuette, but this did not upset the young actor. He already took a lot from this film. But Oscar-winning success did not bring Timothee an immediate rise to Olympus. The day after the Oscar ceremony, my carriage turned into a pumpkin, the actor recalled. He returned to New York without an apartment and without money, and asked to live with friends because he did not want to return to his parents. I needed to forget, to erase from my memory the myth about Timothee Chalamet that arose during the advertising campaign. At the same time, for many, I remained an empty place. I tried to marry these two realities in my head. The issue of growing up became relevant not only for Timothee's character, but also for himself. From this moment on, Chalamet became one of the most sought-after actors in Hollywood. With each new project and experience, he grew not only as an actor, but also as a person. The benefit of growing up and becoming mature is that one day you find inspiration in your own experiences and in those around you who interest you, Timothee said. To get a foothold at the level he found himself at, the actor had to do some hard work. In the 2017 film Hot Summer Nights, Chalamet played the role of a troubled guy, Daniel, who decided to deal in illegal substances with the most dangerous young criminal in Cape Cod. Critics did not appreciate Elijah Bynum's work. However, they were all unanimous in one opinion. The film was worth watching only because of the talented Timothee Chalamet who played in it. That same year, Greta Gerwig released her Lady Bird. She managed to make a deep movie out of an ordinary teenage drama, and the cast, Saoirse Ronan, Lucas Hedges, and in fact Timothee Chalamet, played their characters perfectly. Lady Bird was warmly received by critics and was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, as well as a Golden Globe and BAFTA. After this, director Scott Cooper fulfilled Chalamet's childhood dream. The actor finally played with Christian Bale. In the film Hostiles, Timothee played the cameo role of Philippe Desjardins, an army private. Unfortunately, in the film, he remained in the shadow of other bright characters, and his role took up very little screen time.
Private!
Pardon, monsieur, mais, capitaine, mais j'ai a question before we depart on our journey.
As with McConaughey, Chalamet was initially very embarrassed by his more experienced colleague. I remember him asking me to repeat my name so he could hear it better and memorize it, he recalled. My voice got caught in my throat, not really being able to get it out, thinking, why, for the first time in my 20 years on this planet, is my mouth not following what my brain wants it to? After a triumphant 2017, the actor was becoming a real attraction for film companies, but now they didn't choose him. He has waited too long, and from now on, he would choose the film that he considered successful. In 2018, Timothee finally played the main role in the biographical drama Beautiful Boy. Directed by Felix von Grungen, decided to once again raise the issue of fathers and sons. Chalamet played the role of Nick, a troubled teenage drug addict, and Steve Carell played the role of his father. Timothee could not refuse the offer to play in the film, having sympathy for both the director and the filming partner.
I like 80% of my time with people that I've looked up to. I'm just like trying not to reveal it, like right now.
The script was based on real events that were outlined in 2 books. Tweak Growing Up on Methamphetamines, written by Nick Sheff, the same teenager who struggled with addiction and who became the prototype for Timothee's character. And the second part was Beautiful Boy, which was written by his father, David, telling through his difficulties and experiences associated with his son's addiction. In preparation, Timothee read David Sheff's memoirs, studied statistics on addiction to illegal substances. He needed to personally meet and communicate with David, as well as attend rehabs and meetings of Narcotics Anonymous. To look even more realistic on screen, the already thin actor lost 22 pounds. Working on the picture took a lot of his energy. He gave himself completely to the role and immersed himself in the problem.
Did you take his $8?
What?
You heard me.
Why would I?
It disappeared and somebody has to have done it.
Right, so it's me. This is ridiculous.
At the film premiere of Beautiful Boy, the actor was able to cause delight with his unusual suit from Alexander McQueen, made of fabric with a print of large, bright red roses. Since this period of his career, his looks on the red carpet have been talked about as much as his roles on the big screen. Chalamet admits that he loves fashion, and he's friends with several designers, but he chooses what clothes to wear without outside help. His style is the result of his efforts and vision. I hear about celebrities who have stylists, and that blows my mind. It's certainly not why I act, but I can wear cool clothes from some of the nicest designers in the world, so why am I going to pay someone to figure out what I should be wearing? That's the fun part.
That's a delicate question, not to give you a pretentious answer back, but there was no one I feel like I revered. I've always loved the idea that, you know, you can appropriately express yourself through clothes.
The actor is not afraid to be bold when it comes to fashion. It is worth remembering the floral outfits from Alexander McQueen and sparkling Louis Vuitton on the red carpet, which created a furore on the internet. All this would later lead to GQ magazine naming him one of the best-dressed men in the world. The release of the next film with Timothee's participation, A Rainy Day in New York, cannot be called successful. In those days, society was in turmoil after the scandal with Woody Allen, who was accused of molesting his adopted daughter. Everyone turned their backs on the director, and the cast, including Timothee, refused to receive money for this filming, transferring all the money owed to them to funds to help women who have been subjected to violence. Despite his good performance, the actor was able to experience the other side of fame when you have to bear responsibility not only for projects, but also for those who you work with. But one cannot deny the fact that Timothee played well, and his partners were Selena Gomez, Ellie Fanning, Liev Schreiber, Diego Luna, and Jude Law. In 2019, the actor starred in the film Little Women, an adaptation of Louisa May Alcott's novel of the same name. That was a movie by Greta Gerwig, who, again, could not resist the temptation to work with a talented guy. This time, Tim got the role of Laurie, a young man secretly in love with one of the main characters, the March sisters. Chalamet gladly agreed to participate in the project. I would work with Greta on anything. I'm just totally in awe of her. I like working with filmmakers who are 10 times smarter than me, he said. And on the Jimmy Fallon show, he confirmed his words in an unusual way.
I would do any, you know, Greta, if you're watching this, you want me to play a chair or a tree? I like Scarlett Johansson, I'll be a tree.
Furthermore, the actor admitted that he preferred to work with independent filmmakers rather than with major studios in order to retain the freedom to tell the stories that he considered important. The privilege of early fame was the ability to choose. Greta really wanted chemistry between the characters, and therefore she invited the same Saoirse Ronan from Lady Bird to play the role of Jo, Laurie's beloved. The scene where Laurie decided to confess her feelings to Jo turned out to be so sincere and was played so talently that Greta called it one of her favorites in her entire career.
I gave up billiards, I gave up everything you didn't like, I'm happy I did, it's fine, and I waited and I never complained because I figured you'd love me, Jo.
Despite the fact that the film was the 7th film adaptation of the book, Gerwig was able to breathe new life into the classic novel without harming the plot in any way, and her efforts were appreciated by critics. The film received 6 Oscar nominations. Despite the fact that the actor consolidated his success with each new film, he began to be recognized more often on the street. There were also some funny incidents.
Mais il y a des autres moments où je me sens vraiment... Je me suis fait virer d'un resto à Los Angeles il y a une semaine. C'était un truc, c'était que pour des membres, je savais pas, mais je me suis fait vraiment virer.
Et vous avez pas dit, mais je suis Timothée Chalamet?
Non, mais c'est rien, it doesn't mean anything.
In 2019, Timothee played the role of Henry V in the film The King. The director of the film, David Michaud, really wanted to get the talented Chalamet in the film cast, and he was not at all embarrassed that the King of England would be played by a rather young actor. This role stood out noticeably from the range of those characters, mostly handsome boys that he had to play before. Therefore, Timothee immediately agreed and began to prepare, to learn horse riding and sword fighting. But this was not enough. Tim lacked knowledge about Henry V and therefore had to read a lot of books. The film's co-stars were Lily Rose Depp, Joel Edgerton, Ben Mendelsohn, and Robert Pattinson. The film received mixed reviews. Many did not appreciate the director's vision, and the lack of Shakespearean text and medieval English made the film historically inaccurate. Timothee's performance was also criticized. Screen Daily wrote that the actor did not have enough variety in his facial expressions and vocal timbre to truly bring the character to life. The fact that Chalamet is quietly spectacular in a film as cold as this makes his portrayal of King Henry even more revelatory. He's well-versed in traversing the full spectrum of human emotion, but all that is needed of him in The King is a permanent scowl and a furrowed brow. Lana Murray writes about him in GQ magazine. At the same time, on aggregator sites, both the film and Timothee's character received, on average, positive reviews.
You shall suffer the indignity of serving me. Wayward son, you so revile. But know now you'll be watched over by an altogether different king.
The actor also did not forget about his love for music. In the same year, Timothee lit up the stage with rapper Kid Cudi, where he performed the intro to his album at the ComplexCon Festival. This was not a surprise for the musician. He and Chalamet were friends, but it was a pleasant surprise for the audience. In 2021, the young star got one of the main roles in Wes Anderson's comedy drama film, The French Dispatch. He portrayed a talented chess player and leader of the student French Revolution.
Don't criticize my manifesto.
Oh, you don't want remarks?
I don't need remarks, do I?
The cast was impressive, although what else can you expect from Wes Anderson? There was Bill Murray, Benicio del Toro, Willem Dafoe, and Adrian Brody, including Tim's friend, Saoirse Ronan. Chalamet was very inspired by this opportunity. The actor was a fan of Anderson's early works, such as The Grand Budapest Hotel, and was ready to star in any role, no matter how big it was. Just the opportunity to be in Wes's film meant a lot to me. It's a great honor to be filmed by him, to live in this world he invented. A few weeks before filming, the actor received a letter from the director which contained the following lines. Over the past years, I have invited young actors more than once, and there were cases when they did not show up or were unprepared. Timothee admitted that he took such words very seriously and tried his best not to look like a black sheep, not to let the team down professionally, and that's why he studied his lines intensively. The film is a collection of amazing stories from an American newspaper of the 20th century. The newspaper division was closing, and as a farewell, the employees were preparing amazing stories for their loyal readers. For Timothee, the entire filming process was very comfortable. I felt free, no tension, no one stood behind you or rushed you, he recalled. The atmosphere was very trusting and calm.
That's what makes me want to be an artist, that's what makes me want to be an actor, is that feeling of flow.
Although the jokes of Bill Murray, who constantly teased the young actors on the set, brought their own fly in the ointment. No one wanted to get on his tongue, Chalamet recalled, but this is further proof of his concern. Like, every picture is special, impossible to pass. You need to give it 100%. The film received generally positive reviews and earned $46 million against a budget of $25 million. Well, Timothee's next role can easily be called one of the most significant in his career. Of course, we are talking about Dune, in which Chalamet played the main character, Paul Atreides. Dune is an adaptation of the novel by Frank Herbert. Denis Villeneuve took on the task of bringing the legendary story to life and recreating the fantastic world described on the pages of the novel. He decided not to be modest. Dune is definitely the biggest film of Chalamet's career to date. A real blockbuster with impressive graphics, special effects, sets, and costumes. Tim was able to work on set with Javier Bardem, Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, and many others. The director did not see anyone else as the main character except Timothee. He was the first and only choice. I felt that right now on this planet there is a creature capable of portraying Paul Atreides, the director admitted. But such a scale also led to a feeling of pressure on Timothee, although he already realized the importance of the project for his career. Dune is a dream film based above all on absolute creativity. That's how I treated it and my role, and I stayed away from everything else. When Villeneuve invited the actor to a meeting several years ago, Tim had only read half of the novel and was finishing preparations for filming The King. Though he agreed to participate because he really wanted to work with a famous director, and Villeneuve admitted that he was glad to finally meet the young actor. Timothee recalls that he still cannot forget their dialogue in the hotel room when the director walked around his room and talked about how he was going to make this film, sharing ideas, and Chalamet couldn't get rid of the thought that this was just a dream. Just a year ago, he had nothing. He lived with friends and could not count on such luck. According to the actor, what attracted him to his character was the idea of a guy becoming a leader. It was important for me to understand how such a young man deals with his terrible burden, a supernatural gift, and the mission entrusted to him to save the world, he said. Futuristic landscapes, skillful rendering of sci-fi details from the source material, such as a force shield for battles, spectacular visual imagery, and battle staging, ensured the success of Villeneuve's work. The film set box office records in Europe, Hong Kong, and Singapore. For Timothee, the film became an entry ticket to the major league of blockbusters and confirmation of his status as one of the most sought-after movie stars of our time. In simple terms, this was a great, once-in-a-lifetime honor for me. In some ways, of course, I had to be led and directed. During this 5 or 6 month shoot, I received emotional support from all the people and actors with whom I was lucky enough to work shoulder to shoulder. Villeneuve was also pleased with the collaboration with Chalamet. He has a deep intelligence in the eyes, something you cannot fake. The kid is brilliant, very intellectual, very strong, and you see that in the eyes, he says about the actor. After his participation in Dune, Time named the actor the most recognizable face of the generation.
It's a dream come true in many ways. It feels like a cosign from the community. It feels like a marker of encouragement and recognition to keep going, to keep trying to make good things and things that are fresh and important and new and storytelling.
In doing so, Timothee breaks down the idea of the standard, old model of masculinity. His acting style is often described as androgynous, and the actor demonstrates a more sensitive, emotional approach to expressing what a man should be. This echoes society's modern approach to self-expression. Timothee is a thoughtful and poetic person, says Villeneuve. I was always impressed by his beautiful vulnerability. Interviewers describe the actor as a modest and balanced person. Everything he does or says is deliberate. I think I'm here to show that it's okay to wear your heart on your sleeve, Tim said. The actor does not seem to take himself too seriously, does not make harsh statements, and does not consider himself a movie star. Moreover, the perception of himself as the most promising representative of his generation is strange to him. I'm just an actor, he often says. Just an actor. Shortly after Dune, there was a new project, Don't Look Up by Adam McKay, with Leo DiCaprio in the title role. For Timothee, who called DiCaprio his role model, the opportunity was a nice bonus. There, the young actor got a controversial role, a young rebel and thief named Yule, and also the main character's boyfriend.
Kate and Yule connect because they're both outsiders, and I like this flavor of a guy, particularly when all the other characters have such consequence in their actions and decisions. Not to say Yule doesn't, but his consequences are felt to him, basically. He's not making decisions that affect the world on a global scale. And recently I played a couple of characters that are...
McKay shared with Variety that his plan was to create a film where absurd, ridiculous comedy is interspersed with sadness in a world that becomes more surreal every year. And in this project, Chalamet was given a role that was not obvious at first glance, that of a bearer of faith. I was talking to Chalamet about maybe doing this little part because we've wanted to work together, the director said, and he was like, yeah, I don't know if there's enough there. But later, a discovery awaited McKay. It was of faith. I know who Timothee's character is, he shared. The team was complete. The film had a limited release in 2021, but was soon released on Netflix. Despite mixed reviews, the movie received 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, and became the second most watched film on Netflix. The young star's performance was well appreciated. Maybe it's the ratty wig, but finally, at long last, Chalamet looks like he's playing someone other than himself. Maybe this ambiguity is a strength to his character above all else. Magdalene Taylor, a staff writer at MEL, wrote about him. The following year, Chalamet again worked with Luca Guadagnino in the romantic horror film Bones and All, where the actor got the main role. His co-star was Taylor Russell. The story is very unusual. The plot is based on the book by Camille DeAngelis and tells about the love of 2 cannibals, Louise, Chalamet, and Marin, Russell. In an interview with Deadline, the director described it as follows. This is a romantic story about the impossibility of love and, nevertheless, the need for it, even in extreme circumstances.
It felt fucking great. I felt high as a motherfucker.
Luca admitted that after reading the script, he immediately thought about Timothee in the leading role. Chalamet not only agreed, but also tried himself as a producer of this film. The actor admitted that the opportunity to have a hand in shaping the image of his character made him very excited. It was very different than the first project we had done together, Chalamet says. Bones and All was a runaway success. During its screening at the Venice Film Festival, it received a standing ovation for 10 minutes. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian called the film extravagant and outrageous, scary, unpleasant, and startling in its twisted romantic idealism, and gave it 5 stars. In 2023, news spread across the media. Timothée Chalamet became the face of the new Bleu de Fragrance from Chanel. The actor admitted that he was not looking to meet the brand when representatives of the fashion house approached him. Besides, he plans to work on a short film for Bleu de Chanel with Martin Scorsese. I'm at a point in my career where I can choose projects that touch my heartstrings, and if there's a feeling that all the pieces of the puzzle have fallen into place, no questions arise, he claimed. In 2021, it became known that the actor would delight fans with a new striking image, young Willy Wonka. The film is a prequel to the famous Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, telling about the youth of the famous chocolatier. Director Paul King built a literal dance studio on one of Warner Bros. Leavesden lots. And then I was immediately doing the vocal and dance training at Leavesden to take on the role of Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka, which was wonderful because I went from playing a disenfranchised cannibal on the outskirts of American society in the 80s to a gifted young chocolatier, Timothée told. Chalamet trained hard for the movie's 7 musical numbers. I felt out of my league, he said of working on the film, like I was desecrating history. But at the same time, the actor was glad that he was able to express himself in such an unusual new image. To work on something that will have an uncynical young audience, that was just a big joy. That's why I was drawn to it. He says, in a time and climate of intense political rhetoric, when there's so much bad news all the time, this is hopefully going to be a piece of chocolate. In recent years, Timothee has become an internet phenomenon, a heartthrob. His haircuts are discussed online. He's called the new Brando or the new DiCaprio, and more than 18.6 million people follow him on Instagram. His face is photoshopped into various pieces of art.
Pour moi, ça fait très bizarre.
But ask him how he would characterize them. He will answer tense. In interviews, Timothee often expresses gratitude for his great luck while expressing concern with every move or word. It's like he's afraid of doing something wrong. I want to get back to the undefined space again. I'm chasing a feeling. Chalamet continues to conquer new heights. In the future, there is a continuation of Dune and work in the new expected biopic about the young Bob Dylan going electric, directed by James Mangold. Since the start of film production was announced 2 years ago, its preparation has periodically stopped, but the actor, as always, approached the issue diligently. I haven't stopped preparing, which has been one of the greatest gifts for me, he says. It's been a wonderful experience getting to dive into that world, whether we get to make it or not, but without giving anything away, because I don't want to beat anyone to the punch, and obviously things have to come together officially. The winds that are blowing in a very positive direction. Timothee admits that he admires Dylan and how the artist could be out there so much, making such an impact, while also keeping the real person obscured behind the music, the characters in the songs, the language. The star's future, as it seems now, will shine long and brightly. Moreover, he is supported and guided by friends, family, and colleagues. Thus, the already mentioned Leonardo DiCaprio gave advice to the aspiring actor which he mentioned many times in various interviews. Advice that may help Timothee one day get the coveted award. No hard drugs, no superhero movies. In romantic matters, the actor is less public. The actor doesn't like to talk about his personal life, but cunning paparazzi have already managed to catch him with Madonna's daughter, Lourdes, the daughter of Johnny Depp and Vanessa Paradis, Lily Rose Depp, and actress Isa Gonzalez. After filming Woody Allen's movie, there were also rumors about Chalamet's affair with Selena Gomez, who played one of the main roles in the film, but the actors did not confirm anything. In October 2018, Timothee was spotted on a romantic walk in New York with Lily Rose Depp. The lovers kissed, held hands, and were not shy about demonstrating their feelings in every possible way. The young people met on the set of The King, where Lily played the actor's wife. Tim remembers that Lily was constantly worried about her prominent forehead and asked him if she looked good. "You look like a queen," he said then, and realized that he had fallen in love. The romance lasted a little over a year. In April, the authoritative publication Us Weekly reported that the young people broke up. In an interview, the actor admitted that the paparazzi were largely responsible for it. Journalists started hunting us. It's amazing that Lily and I managed to hide our relationship for so long. As soon as we stopped hiding, we found ourselves defenseless against the paparazzi and the constant obsessive interest of the press in us. And it was all over. The young man can be called a romantic. We all live for the sake of love, and thanks to love, we were able to hold out for so long, he said in one of the interviews. But at the same time, he tried to keep all his love experiences secret, especially after the incidents with the paparazzi during his relationship with Lily Rose. Whether it was the media's fault, it's unknown, but Chalamet admits that he is not a fan of social networks. In the age of the internet, it is increasingly difficult to feel alive. He argues for his position. The actor does not have any specific hobby. I can't even imagine what I would do if I didn't play in films or theater. I devote almost all my time and energy to working on characters, he admitted. The actor is sure that every time he shows his feelings to the world, everything crumbles to dust. I'm one of those people who lives in the moment, but at the same time, I experience breakups very painfully, he adds. The celebrity's heart was not free for long. After breaking up with Johnny Depp's daughter, Chalamet quickly found a replacement for her. It was actress Isa Gonzalez, star of Hobbs & Shaw. The woman was 6 years older than Timothy. In June 2020, the couple was spotted in Mexico at the resort of Cabo San Lucas. The summer romance ended with the advent of autumn. Subsequently, Timothy tried to avoid publicity in this aspect, and in response to a direct question in an interview in 2021, he noted that he has someone to dream about. At the same time, the young man rejected all speculation about his relationship with Saoirse Ronan. Both actors are firmly convinced that they are just friends. "The friendship between us is something magical," Timothy said. "I feel comfortable and good with her, and we will definitely get married when we are 40 years old." Despite the lack of a romantic relationship, Saoirse speaks very flatteringly about the actor. "He's had such incredible opportunities, and he doesn't let the reality of that pass him by." She said, "He's incredibly gracious and grateful in relation to his work and the people he works with." In April 2023, rumors appeared that the actor was dating Kylie Jenner, a socialite and member of the famous Kardashian family. They could be seen at the stadium during the US Open Men's Final, at New York Fashion Week, and at a Beyoncé concert. How serious this relationship is and how long it has lasted is unknown. Timothy very easily establishes contact with people and moves towards his goal with a confident, unhurried step. What lies ahead for him? We are sure that he will still be able to surprise us with the originality of his roles and the scale of his projects. I hate to say it, but the dream as an artist is to throw whatever the fuck you want at the wall, you know? And I guess what I'm realizing is that one's personal life, one's adult life can be quite boring, and the artist's life can still be extraordinary. And we will work for you to surprise and delight you with new interesting videos. You can click on the icon that appeared on your screen to learn about the life and bright careers of other famous actors. If you enjoyed watching the story of Timothee Chalamet, like this video. See you again on the Biographer channel.
Many people have come here to say
Greetings to you all. My name is Willy Wonka.
He doesn't hesitate to challenge traditional masculinity and takes on provocative roles. He criticizes social media, appears embarrassed in interviews, and captivates the public with his red carpet appearances. Timothee Chalamet is an actor who rapidly rose to fame, recognized for his artistic merit, and has won the affection of millions of fans. What's the secret to his success? Why does he shun fame? And with whom has he had affairs on set? Welcome to the Famous People channel. We're about to begin. Timothee Chalamet, real name Timothée Hal Chalamet, was born on December 27, 1995, in New York. Hell's Kitchen, also known as the Clinton area, once a crime-ridden district, was gradually becoming a hub of culture and fashion, shaping the worldview of the young boy. The future actor's father, Marc Chalamet, a Frenchman, worked as an editor and translator for the French office of UNICEF, and his mother, Nicole Flender, an American of Jewish descent, was a Broadway dancer. She was the one who taught the future star to play the piano and constantly encouraged him to practice. The family was affluent and lived in the luxurious Manhattan Plaza complex in the heart of New York. "I am a child of the world," the star shyly smiles when asked to talk about his heritage. It combines French, Jewish, and American origins, the desire for individualism and self-improvement with tradition, the urge to express oneself and identity. "I have always felt American customs and models were closer to me. And then, as I grew up, I allowed my French side to emerge more," the actor says. In addition, Timothee's family is filled with creative individuals. "I was destined to become an artist," he jokes. And for good reason. Timothee's maternal uncle, Rodman Flender, is a director and actor. His aunt, Amy Lippman, is a screenwriter, as well as his maternal grandfather, Harold Flender, who wrote the historical novel Rescue in Denmark about the persecution of Jews by the Nazi regime. This boy had a particularly close relationship with his grandparents, and his summers were spent in a small village in France called Chambon-sur-Lignon, a place with a lifestyle entirely different from his everyday life in New York. From his grandparents, he learned, thanks to them, I dared to dream, was not afraid to take risks, ready to plunge into the unknown, and when necessary, stop or go with the flow. Timothee Chalamet shares, "My grandparents accepted me in different ways, and this helped me trust myself and feel unique." His parents discovered his acting talent and began to support him in pursuing the arts. This led to him appearing in commercials, though initially, he did not enjoy it. Timothee recalls that at the time, he didn't take acting seriously. "I was very young," he says, "I just stood and smiled in front of the camera, not really caring about what was happening." Timothee Chalamet also had a passion for soccer, a love nurtured during summer vacations with his grandparents. He once harbored dreams of becoming a professional soccer player. Even at 13, he spent his summer in France training younger boys. But everything changed completely after he watched Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight in 2008. What really changed Timothee's perspective was Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. He was so captivated and astonished that he gained a deeper understanding of acting, an art form he hadn't previously taken seriously. Timothee realized that acting was more than just doing commercials with simple scripts. "Something stirred within me, came alive. I loved playing soccer, but this was the first time I felt something like this," Chalamet said. He began to see acting as a true art form, a creative journey he wanted to pursue. Timothee's parents supported his career choice. They didn't just accept his decision but also attended every film he acted in and his movie premieres. This support was the most valuable thing Timothee received from his family, and he was very grateful to them for it. By the way, which of Chalamet's roles do you like the most? Write your opinion in the comments below. At 13, Timothee enrolled in the Fiorello H. LaGuardia High School of Music and Art and Performing Arts in New York, which has produced many big names like Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Jennifer Aniston, and Sarah Paulson. Gaining admission to this school was no easy task, with a rigorous selection process and high standards. Each candidate, including Timothee, had to pass 2 stringent rounds of auditions. Although he was not successful in the first preliminary round due to insufficient grades at his previous school, he still kept the opportunity to participate in the second audition round. This became a turning point as Timothee proved his true talent. His audition was so impressive that the acting teacher, Harry Schiffman, decided he had to support Timothee fully, to not miss out on such a talent. As a result, Timothee achieved an unprecedentedly high score in the history of the school's audition process, enough for him to be admitted to Fiorello LaGuardia, a significant step forward on his artistic journey. Harry Schiffman, recognizing the exceptional talent of Timothee Chalamet, requested the school to make an exception for the young boy. This decision shaped Chalamet's future in the arts. During his time at LaGuardia, Timothee unexpectedly discovered a passion for hip-hop and his own rap abilities. He tried his hand in the music industry under the stage name Timmy T, and even created a statistics project in the form of a rap poem, along with a video for his musical work. Although teachers didn't highly rate this creative endeavor and gave it a low score, his classmates were very enthusiastic. That moment made Timothee realize he wasn't meant to be a musician but should pursue a career in acting. "It was at that moment I decided I wasn't a musician and would be better off as an actor," he later shared. Nonetheless, the teachers at LaGuardia greatly appreciated his creativity and considered him one of the most outstanding students. Throughout his studies, Timothee realized the importance of approaching the art of acting seriously. "If you study it and give it your strength and energy, then through a process of rebirth, you can experience life from an entirely different perspective," he said. This discovery completely changed his life. Timothee has participated in short films such as Clown and Butcher's Hill. These roles paved the way for him to take on guest roles in Law and Order, a significant step in his acting career. Loving Leah added another film to Chalamet's list of accomplishments. Following that was Royal Pains, a series that helped Chalamet express himself for the first time. In 2011, Timothee was introduced through his role in the teen comedy play, The Talls, on Broadway. In it, he transformed into a 12-year-old boy, exploring the aspects of sexuality. Next, from his role as Nicholas on stage, Timothee received an invitation to join the TV project, Homeland, a famous TV series, receiving countless positive reviews and prestigious Emmy Awards. In Homeland, Chalamet played the role of Finn, the vice president's son. Initially expected to appear in only one episode, his role was expanded throughout the second season of the series. Timothee devoted himself fully to this role. It was his first time tackling a serious character, and he approached it wholeheartedly, preparing meticulously, practicing, and researching the character to create a convincing performance on camera. This role not only brought Timothee his first recognition but also earned him a nomination at the Screen Actors Guild Awards in the category Outstanding Performance by an Ensemble in a Drama Series. More importantly, it caught the attention of director Luca Guadagnino, who at the time, was developing the romantic drama, Call Me By Your Name, and was actively searching for actors for the lead role. Call Me By Your Name, adapted from the novel by André Aciman, tells the story of the romance between a 17-year-old boy and a 24-year-old man, along with the main character's journey of growth through his experiences. In 2013, Timothée Chalamet demonstrated his exceptional acting skills during the audition for the lead role, impressing the director and being immediately accepted. Chalamet later recalled the anxious feeling in the early days of filming, fearing he might not be able to fully showcase his abilities. However, the film project only started in 2016 after a 3-year wait for the budget and prioritization of other projects. During the waiting period, Chalamet took on several other roles, including a guest appearance in the TV series Trooper, directed by Craig Gillespie in 2013. Subsequently, he played Danny Vance in the film Men, Women and Children, working alongside Hollywood stars such as Adam Sandler and Dean Norris under the direction of Jason Reitman, a talented director who had been nominated for an Oscar 6 times. Although the role was not significant, it still left an impression. However, the film was not commercially successful and did not make Chalamet as famous as expected. Undeterred, Chalamet continued to participate in the comedy Worst Friends, although this film also did not succeed. But fortune smiled upon him when Christopher Nolan, the famous director of Dark Knight, invited Chalamet to join Interstellar, one of his most impressive film projects. I'm very excited to work with Christopher Nolan. He's my favorite director, the young actor replied in an interview. Matthew McConaughey became Timothee's colleague on set. Initially, the young actor was even at a loss for words when he first met Matthew McConaughey. Chalamet regarded McConaughey almost as a role model of a true actor, serious and captivating, so when they needed to communicate with each other, words seemed to get stuck in the young man's throat. Despite being a minor supporting role, Chalamet demonstrated high professionalism and responsibility, taking his part seriously even in the smallest details. This approach helped him shine in a memorable scene where McConaughey's character views video messages from his family. He developed a friendship with Matthew McConaughey on the film set, and they continued to stay in touch after filming. For Timothee, participating in Interstellar was a valuable experience, becoming a motivation to pursue bigger roles in the future. Following this success, Timothee decided to focus all his time and effort on his acting career, even stopping his studies. This decision was not supported by his mother and agent due to their concerns about the unstable and changing nature of fame. After receiving advice from his relatives and agent, Timothée Chalamet decided to continue his education. Despite having gained fame as a talented actor, he was reminded that today's fame could fade tomorrow. This motivated him to enroll at Columbia University, choosing to study cultural anthropology, thinking that a degree would be a good backup plan and a step towards independence. However, Chalamet couldn't give up his passion for acting. Encouragement from Matthew McConaughey and praise for his acting abilities led him to transfer to the Gallatin School of Individualized Study at NYU. Here, he could continue his studies while still engaging in acting projects. During this time, he also moved to live alone in an apartment in the Bronx, separating himself from his family. Chalamet experienced a period filled with instability and anxiety, describing the feeling as a soul-crushing worry when feeling like you have so much to give without any platform to do so. He patiently waited for opportunities to participate in projects that suited him, avoiding long-term commitments like multi-year TV contracts that could limit the development of his acting career. After Interstellar was released globally, Timothée Chalamet had high expectations for the film. He believed that after its release, he would receive a leading role in another major film. However, he was surprised and disappointed when only a small segment of his scenes was kept in the final version of the movie. Chalamet confessed that he watched the film and couldn't hold back his tears, both from being moved and disappointed because he had hoped to appear more in the film. He didn't feel betrayed by Nolan. In fact, he went to watch the film 12 times because he completely trusted the director's decision and believed that the final version of the scene with his father was logical and necessary for the film. After Interstellar, Chalamet faced financial difficulties. He continued to seek acting opportunities, sending out his details and auditioning daily. The list of films he attempted to join but was unsuccessful is long and impressive, demonstrating his relentless effort in pursuing an acting career. Timothée Chalamet continued his acting pursuit with a role in the Christmas comedy Love the Coopers, where he played the contemplative grandson of characters portrayed by John Goodman and Diane Keaton. Although it was a small role, it provided him the opportunity to work alongside many talented actors. Following that, he appeared in The Adderall Diaries as a young James Franco, a role not particularly prominent in terms of screen time. However, a significant turning point in Chalamet's career came with 1 and 2, where he took on the role of Zach, a teenager with supernatural abilities. His performance in this film attracted attention and received positive reviews from critics and audiences alike. Co-starring with him in this film was Kiernan Shipka, known for her role as the witch Sabrina. 1 and 2 marked an important turning point in Chalamet's career, being his first leading role in a film that garnered attention at film festivals. 2015 can be considered the real beginning year for his acting career. In 2016, Chalamet received a significant role in Miss Stevens, where he played Billy, one of 3 students accompanying their teacher Stevens on a journey. This character was complex, unpredictable, and highly emotional, allowing Timothée to showcase his talent clearly. Although Miss Stevens wasn't a blockbuster hit with the public, critics were very impressed with Chalamet's performance. That same year, he also tested his skills on stage as the difficult teenager Jim in the play Prodigal Son at the Manhattan Theatre Club. This role not only brought Timothée recognition from American audiences but also his first award, the Lucille Lortel Award for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Play, marking the first time journalists called him a rising star. In 2016, Timothée Chalamet began filming Call Me by Your Name, and he had about 1.5 months to prepare for the role. One of the biggest challenges was learning to play the guitar and grasping the basics of Italian. During the casting, Chalamet was asked if he could play the piano. He had played up until the age of 12, so he confidently responded that he could. After landing the role, Timothée realized he had forgotten everything he knew about the piano and had to practice daily with an Italian musician for a month. To immerse himself in the atmosphere of a small town in Italy, director Luca Guadagnino requested Timothée to arrive 6 weeks before filming. He spent an hour and a half each day practicing the piano and learning to play Beethoven pieces on the guitar. Timothée didn't have difficulty with French. Director Guadagnino customized the main character to suit Timothée's native and familiar language, making it easier for him to blend in and naturally portray the character. Armie Hammer was chosen to act alongside Chalamet as Oliver, creating a compelling on-screen chemistry between the 2 actors. When they started filming Call Me by Your Name, Timothée Chalamet and Armie Hammer were strangers to each other and needed time to get acquainted. They quickly became close not only with director Luca Guadagnino but also with each other, becoming real friends. They often spent time together by having dinner, watching movies, and having extensive conversations. Guadagnino's unique approach to organizing the first meeting between the 2 actors was very special. He took us both to a haystack and suggested we rehearse scene 71. We flipped to the right page. The description only had one line: Elio and Oliver roll around in the grass, getting closer to each other. They began rolling around the haystack. When they stopped, the director was nowhere to be seen. This was their only rehearsal before filming. Right from the start, Guadagnino was in a hurry. He wanted to shoot their kissing scene immediately. Director Guadagnino focused on creating a friendly and serene atmosphere on set, where there was no sense of seriousness, drama, or tension. This trust allowed Chalamet to freely express his diverse talents and engage in his role as naturally as possible. In interviews, both actors often mention the warm and supportive atmosphere created by Guadagnino, helping them feel comfortable and confident during the process. After completing Call Me By Your Name, Timothée Chalamet overcame many of his own limits, no longer apprehensive about sensitive scenes or deep monologues about emotions. Call Me By Your Name made a strong impression right from its debut at the Sundance Film Festival and then at the Berlin Film Festival. Fans and critics were highly impressed with the work of the director and the screenwriter, but especially with Timothée's performance as Elio. Chalamet's acting became a surprising highlight, exceeding all expectations. Audiences did not expect such an exceptional performance from a young and handsome actor. The most challenging part for Timothée was watching the movie with his parents, especially during the scene with the peach, which made him feel extremely embarrassed. He recalled his feelings and his father's reaction during the screening, and for me, it seemed like my father felt the same, but after the movie ended, the tension passed. I realized my parents were very proud and respected my choice, so I calmed down. Nonetheless, every time he eats a peach, he still remembers that scene from the movie. Following the resounding success of Call Me By Your Name, Timothée Chalamet finally gained the fame he deserved. He spent the year maintaining the sudden glow of his stardom and ensuring it didn't fade away. An Oscar nomination made Chalamet one of the youngest actors ever to receive this accolade. At the ceremony, he competed with industry heavyweights like Gary Oldman, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Denzel Washington. Although Call Me By Your Name did not win any Oscars, Timothée didn't feel disappointed, as he learned a lot from the experience. Since Call Me By Your Name, Timothée Chalamet has become one of the most sought-after actors in Hollywood. Each new project and experience not only further develops him as an actor but also enriches his character. Chalamet shares, the benefit of growing up is you start finding inspiration from your own experiences and from the people who care about you. He joined the cast of Hot Summer Nights in 2017, where he played Daniel, a troubled young man who decides to get involved in the drug trade with the most dangerous young criminal in Cape Cod. While Elijah Bynum's work did not receive much critical acclaim, all agreed that the film became worth watching thanks to Timothée Chalamet's performance. 2017 also saw the debut of Lady Bird, directed by Greta Gerwig. This film elevated the teen movie genre to another level with its depth and talented cast including Saoirse Ronan, Lucas Hedges, and Timothée Chalamet, who fully immersed themselves and brought their characters to life. Lady Bird was warmly received by critics and nominated for 5 Oscars, as well as Golden Globe and BAFTA awards. Subsequently, Chalamet had the opportunity to act alongside Christian Bale in the film Hostiles, directed by Scott Cooper. In this film, Chalamet played Philippe Desjardins, a private in the army. However, in Hostiles, Timothée Chalamet's role was overshadowed by other more experienced actors, and he didn't have much screen time. Similar to working with Matthew McConaughey, Chalamet initially felt intimidated by the excellence of his more experienced colleagues. He recalled, "I remember he asked me to repeat my name so he could hear it clearly and remember it. My voice was choked up in my throat, really unable to come out. I thought, why, for the first time in 20 years living on this planet, my mouth is not doing what my brain wants." Despite the challenges, 2017 was a successful year for Timothée Chalamet, and he became a focal point for film studios. However, from then on, he decided to choose films that he believed were successful, rather than waiting for film studios to choose him. In 2018, Timothée Chalamet played the lead role in the biographical film Beautiful Boy, directed by Felix van Groningen. The film continued to explore the theme of father-son relationships, with Chalamet portraying Nick, a teenager struggling with drug addiction, and Steve Carell playing his father. Timothee couldn't refuse the offer to participate in this film, not only because of his affinity for the director and co-star but also because of his emotional connection to the content. The screenplay was based on two true stories: Tweak, Growing Up on Methamphetamines, written by Nick Sheff, who himself faced addiction and became the inspiration for Timothee's character, and Beautiful Boy, written by his father, David Sheff, detailing the challenges and experiences he went through with his son. To prepare for the role, Timothee conducted thorough research, including reading David Sheff's memoir, studying statistics on substance abuse, and meeting with both David Sheff and attending Narcotics Anonymous meetings. He also had to lose a significant amount of weight to portray his character more authentically on screen. Timothee Chalamet invested both mentally and physically in this role, and making the film required a great deal of effort from him. At the film's premiere, he impressed with a unique outfit from Alexander McQueen made of fabric printed with large, vibrant red roses. Chalamet admitted that he loves fashion. His style is the result of his effort and vision. I heard about celebrities having stylists, and that blew my mind. That's definitely not why I act, but I can wear beautiful clothes from some of the most beautiful designers in the world. So why should I pay someone to figure out what I should wear? That's the fun part. The floral Alexander McQueen and later Louis Vuitton outfit sparked controversy on the internet and ultimately led to Timothee being honored by GQ magazine as one of the best-dressed men in the world. Timothee participated in the film A Rainy Day in New York, directed by Woody Allen, but this film did not achieve significant success due to the scandal associated with Woody Allen. The cast, including Timothee, refused to accept their salaries and donated the entire amount owed to fund supporting women subjected to violence. Although the film was not successful on the social and critical front, Timothee was still recognized for his excellent acting in the project. Experiencing fame sometimes comes with responsibilities and pressures, not only for projects but also in relationships with friends and colleagues. In 2019, Timothee Chalamet played Laurie in the film Little Women, an adaptation of the novel by Louisa May Alcott, directed by Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig and Timothee Chalamet had the opportunity to work together previously in Lady Bird, and Timothee was delighted to work with her again. Chalamet happily agreed, would work with Greta on anything. I completely admire her. I like working with filmmakers who are 10 times smarter than me. Timothee also shared that he prefers working with independent filmmakers rather than large studios. This allows him the freedom to participate in projects that he believes are important. Greta really wanted genuine chemistry between the characters, so she invited Saoirse Ronan from Lady Bird to play Jo, Laurie's love interest. Laurie decides to confess his feelings to Jo very sincerely. Their performance was so good that it was considered one of Greta's favorite scenes in her entire career. This was the 7th film adaptation of the book, but Gerwig was still able to breathe new life into the classic novel without harming its storyline. The efforts of her and the entire crew, including Chalamet, were highly praised by critics. The film received 6 Oscar nominations. Timothee continued his career with the role of Henry V in the film The King, 2019. Director David Michôd really wanted to cast Chalamet in his film and wasn't at all embarrassed that the King of England would be played by a relatively young actor. This pretty boy role stood out significantly compared to the characters he had played previously. Therefore, Timothee immediately agreed and began preparations, learning horseback riding and sword fighting. However, he lacked knowledge about Henry V, so he had to read a lot of books. Nonetheless, the film received mixed reviews. Many criticized Michôd's vision, and the film was deemed historically inaccurate due to the lack of Shakespearean text and Middle English. Timothee's performance also faced criticism. Screen Daily commented that the actor did not have enough variety in facial expressions and voice tones to really bring the character to life. Chalamet's quietly spectacular performance in such a cold film makes his King Henry all the more compelling. He is adept at traversing the full spectrum of human emotion, but all he needs in the king is a constant scowl and a furrowed brow. Iana Murray wrote about Timothy in GQ magazine. Meanwhile, on aggregate sites, the film received generally positive reviews. That same year, Timothy shone on stage with Kid Cudi, where he introduced his album at the ComplexCon Festival. This wasn't a surprise, as he and Chalamet are friends. But it was an exciting surprise for the audience. In 2021, Timothy landed one of the lead roles in Wes Anderson's The French Dispatch. He played a talented chess player and the leader of the French student revolution. The cast was incredibly impressive. But what else would you expect from Wes Anderson? The film featured Bill Murray, Benicio del Toro, Willem Dafoe, and Adrien Brody, including Timothy's friend Saoirse Ronan. Chalamet was very inspired by this opportunity. He was a fan of Anderson's earlier works like The Grand Budapest Hotel and was ready to play any part, no matter how big. He shared, "Just having the opportunity to be in Wes's film meant a lot to me. It's an honor to be filmed by him, to live in the world that he has invented." A few weeks before shooting began, Chalamet received a letter from the director, which read, "Over the years, I have more than once invited young actors, and there have been cases where they refused, did not show up, or were not prepared." Timothy admitted he took these words very seriously and tried his best not to be the black sheep, not to let the team down professionally. He meticulously studied his lines. The film is a collection of incredible stories from a 20th-century American newspaper. For Timothy, working on The French Dispatch felt liberating. "I felt free, no tension, nobody standing behind your back or pushing you," he recalled. The atmosphere was very trusting and calm. Yet, the antics of Bill Murray brought some flies in the ointment. Nobody wanted to nitpick at him, Chalamet remembered. The film generally received positive reviews and grossed $46 million against a $25 million budget. Timothy's next role in Dune could be called one of the most significant in his career. In this film, he played the lead character, Paul Atreides, in the adaptation of Frank Herbert's novel. Dune was undoubtedly the biggest film in Chalamet's career to date. A true blockbuster with stunning graphics, special effects, sets, and costumes, Tim had the opportunity to work with Javier Bardem, Zendaya, Jason Momoa, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, and many others. Denis Villeneuve couldn't see anyone else as the lead other than Timothy. He was the first and only choice. "I felt that right now on this planet, there's one being that has the ability to portray Paul Atreides." But such scale also created a sense of pressure for Timothy, who realized the project's importance for his career. Dune is a dream film based on absolute creation. That's how I treat it and my role. And I stayed away from everything else. When Villeneuve invited him to a meeting a few years ago, Tim had only read half of the novel and was finalizing his preparations for The King. Just a year earlier, Timothy had nothing, living with friends and not anticipating such luck. What attracted him to the character was the idea of a boy becoming a leader. What was important to me was understanding how such a young man deals with the tremendous burden he carries, a supernatural gift and a mission entrusted to save the world, he said. The futuristic landscapes, science fiction details from the source material like force shields for battles, spectacular visual imagery, and well-choreographed battle scenes, all ensured success for Villeneuve's work. The film set box office records in Europe, Hong Kong, and Singapore. Timothy shared, "To put it simply, this is a once-in-a-lifetime honor for me. Of course, in some respects, I had to be guided and directed. During this 5 or 6 months of filming, I received emotional support from all the people and actors I was fortunate enough to work alongside." His journey from having very little to starring in a major blockbuster reflects the significant leap his career took with Dune, highlighting not just his talent but also his dedication and the impact of the support system around him. Villeneuve was quite pleased with his collaboration with Chalamet. He has a deep, profound intelligence in his eyes. Something you can't fake. The kid is truly exceptional. Very intelligent, very strong. And you see that through his eyes. After participating in Dune, Time magazine recognized Timothée as the most recognizable face of his generation. Timothée has broken the mold of the standard, outdated masculine archetype. His acting style is often described as androgynous, and he has shown a sensitive, emotionally rich approach to portraying the humanity of a man. Villeneuve commented, "Timothée is a profound and poetic person. I am always struck by his beautifully vulnerable demeanor. Seeing himself as the most promising representative of his generation is something alien to Timothée. I'm just an actor," he often says, "just an actor." Right after Dune, he was involved in Adam McKay's new project, Don't Look Up, starring alongside Leonardo DiCaprio. For Timothée, DiCaprio is an ideal role model, and this opportunity was a tremendous reward. In it, Timothée played a controversial role, a young thief and rebel named Yule, who is also the boyfriend of the main character. McKay shared that his plan was to create a film where ridiculous humor, absurdity mixed with sadness, in a world that becomes more surreal every year. This time, Chalamet was offered a role that at first glance didn't seem very clear, a character with a faith of sorts. "I talked to Chalamet about doing this small part because we wanted to work together," McKay shared. But McKay had faith in Timothée. "I know who Timothée's character is," he said, indicating his confidence in the actor's ability to bring the role to life. The film had a limited release in 2021 but was soon available on Netflix. Despite mixed reviews, Don't Look Up received 4 Oscar nominations, including Best Picture, and became the second most watched movie on Netflix. Timothée's performance was highly praised. "Maybe it's the terrible wig, but ultimately, Chalamet looks like he's playing someone other than himself. Perhaps this ambiguity is a strength for his character." After all, Magdalene Taylor, a staff writer at MEL, wrote about Timothée. The following year, Chalamet collaborated again with Luca Guadagnino in the romantic horror film Bones and All, where the actor took on a leading role. The plot, based on the book by Camille De Angelis, tells the story of the love between two cannibals, Louis and Marin. In an interview with Deadline, Luca shared, "It's a romantic story about the impossibility of love and yet, the necessity of it, even under the most harsh circumstances." After reading the script, Luca immediately thought of Timothée, acknowledging his unique ability to bring complex characters to life. Chalamet not only agreed to star in Bones and All, but also tried his hand at being a producer for the film. The actor admitted he was very excited. "It's very different from the first project we did together." Bones and All was a resounding success. During its premiere at the Venice Film Festival, the film received a 10-minute standing ovation. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian called the film crazy and excessive, scary, uncomfortable, and startling in its twisted romanticism, and gave it 5 stars. In 2023, news spread across the media. Timothée Chalamet became the face of Chanel's new Bleu de fragrance. He also planned to make a short film for Bleu de Chanel with Martin Scorsese. "I'm at a point in my career where I can choose projects that touch my heart. And if it feels like all the pieces are falling into the right place, then there are no questions to be asked," he said. This statement reflects his careful consideration and passion for the projects he chooses, indicating a maturity and depth in his approach to his career and artistic endeavors. In 2021, it was revealed that Chalamet would captivate fans with a new and standout role, a young Willy Wonka. Director Paul King built a literal dance floor at Leaves' Den. "And then I immediately started to learn to sing and dance at Leaves' Den, to take on the role of Roald Dahl's Willy Wonka, which was great because I was going from playing a cannibalistic citizen-deprived character in the outskirts of American society in the 80s to playing a talented young chocolate maker," Timothée recalled. Chalamet truly dedicated himself to the role. "I felt like a fish out of water," he said while working on the film, "like I was offending history. But at the same time, the actor was delighted to portray himself in such a new and unique image, being part of a product that's not skeptical about its young audience. That's really exciting. That's why I was drawn to it. In a time and political atmosphere that's tense, where there's always too much bad news, hopefully, this will be a piece of chocolate. Timothee became an internet sensation, mesmerizing hearts. He has been called the new Brando or new DiCaprio and is just over 18 years old. Chalamet continues to reach new heights. The future holds the sequel to Dune and a new Bob Dylan biographical film, Going Electric, directed by James Mangold. Since the production start was announced 2 years ago, its preparation process has been halted. This reflects Timothee's versatility and willingness to take on diverse and challenging roles in his career, further solidifying his status as a prominent actor in Hollywood. As Chalamet shared, "I've never stopped preparing. It's one of the greatest gifts to me. It's a wonderful experience to immerse yourself in that world, whether we succeed or not. But I'm not giving up anything, because I don't want to beat anyone, and obviously, everything has to come together officially. The winds are blowing in a very positive direction." Timothee admits that he admires Dylan and how the artist can appear so frequently. Chalamet's future, like the present, will continue to shine brightly and brilliantly. So, Leonardo DiCaprio has offered advice to the ambitious young actor, something he has mentioned many times in various interviews: no drugs, no superhero movies. It seems that Chalamet is following the advice of his senior. This reflects his commitment to his craft and his desire to take on meaningful and challenging roles in the film industry. The actor is not fond of discussing his personal life, but paparazzi have caught him in the company of Madonna's daughter, Lourdes, Johnny Depp, and Vanessa Paradis' daughter, Lily Rose Depp, actress Isa Gonzalez, and Kylie Jenner. After starring in Woody Allen's film, there were rumors of Chalamet having an affair with Selena Gomez. However, neither of the actors confirmed anything. In October 2018, Timothee was spotted having a romantic stroll in New York with Lily Rose Depp. The couple kissed, held hands, and showed their affection openly. They met on the set of The King, where Lily played Chalamet's wife. He recalls that Lily often worried about her high forehead and would ask him if she looked okay. She looked like a queen. He realized that he was in love. This relationship lasted for over a year. In April, Us Weekly reported that they had broken up. In an interview, Chalamet admitted that the paparazzi were largely responsible for this. "The reporters started hunting us down. It's surprising that Lily and I managed to keep our relationship hidden for so long. As soon as we stopped avoiding, we found ourselves unable to protect ourselves from the paparazzi and the constant intrusive attention of the media on us. And it all came to an end." He could be called romantic, Chalamet said. "All of us live for love, and it's love that allows us to endure for so long." However, he tries to keep his love life experiences secret, especially after the incidents with paparazzi during his relationship with Lily Rose. Chalamet also admits that he's not a fan of social media. He doesn't have any specific hobbies either. "I can't even imagine what I would do if I weren't acting on stage or in films. I devote almost all my time and energy to shaping characters." He adds, "I'm one of those people who live in the present, but at the same time, I've gone through very painful breakups. The hearts of celebrities are not free for long." After breaking up with Lily, Timothee quickly found actress Isa Gonzalez, the star of Hobbs and Shaw. She is 6 years older than Timothee. In June 2020, the couple was spotted in Mexico, at the Cabo San Lucas resort. Their summer romance ended when autumn came. After that, Timothee tried to keep this relationship private. In an interview in 2021, he said he has someone to dream about. At the same time, he denied any rumors about a relationship with Saoirse Ronan. Both actors are sure they are just friends. "The friendship between us is truly magical," Timothee said. "I feel comfortable and good when I'm with her, and we are definitely going to get married when we're 40. Although there is no romantic relationship, Saoirse highly praises Timothee. She said, "He has had incredible opportunities, and he doesn't take that reality for granted. He is extremely charming and appreciative of his work and the people he works with." In April 2023, rumors surfaced that he was dating Kylie Jenner, a member of the famous Kardashian-Jenner family. They were seen at the US Open Men's Finals, New York Fashion Week, and Beyoncé's concert. The extent and seriousness of Timothee's relationship with Kylie Jenner remain unclear, and how long it lasted. What lies ahead for Timothee? Surely, he can continue to surprise us with his unique roles and the scale of his future projects. I hate to say this, but an artist's dream is to throw anything you want at the wall, you know? And I guess what I'm realizing is that a person's personal life, a person's adult life, can be quite boring, and an artist's life can still be quite extraordinary. And we will strive to keep you amazed and intrigued with new exciting videos. You can click on the icons appearing on the screen to learn about the lives and bright careers of other famous actors. If you enjoyed watching Timothee Chalamet's story, please like and leave a comment below this video. See you again on The Famous People channel.